Look at you. Look at them smiley, pearly whites that I can't see because of the white beard.
I know that they definitely blend each other out, but yeah, I got no reason not to smile. We got a return guest of the show that there's only two ways to come back. He didn't screw the last way up, so it must be because he's so good.
It might be. I mean, there's always today, though. I mean,
That's right.
and it's fun because I'm only 2, maybe 3 weeks out from having a great evening, some dinner, and maybe a brewski or two with Rob and his lovely wife Kim out in York, Pennsylvania. When I was out there to the Post Train Builder Show, and he was so kind to decide that we should get together again, and so that's always a good time. So yeah, Rob's a great guy. He's a sarcastic son of a gun, but he's okay.
That's good though, because we it's birds of a feather.
It is. Well, plus we deserve it. So I mean,
Yeah, we
that too.
definitely do.
Yeah, we do. But you're looking good, man. Feeling well?
I feel better than anything. If I was any better, I'd be you and Rob.
Well, I mean, we can try. There's always something. There's always something to look up to, buddy.
That's
Look
right.
forward to that. So I got his books here. We're going to talk about. Let's just bring Rob on and quit yapping.
I think that's a good idea. Let's bring him on.
Let's do it. I'll wait here.
Right.
What can we say? Here we are again.
We can't really say anything. I think that's the end of the show, right?
It is. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate you. We'll see you next time. You didn't screw that up too bad, so well done.
I was enjoying backstage. I was listening to your banter, and I'm like, they can keep going.
Yeah, the longer they go, the less I got to talk.
That's right.
We purposely keep the green room pretty limited to like nothing. That way, you don't stay there and eat us out of house and home. So,
I was just sitting back, drinking my iced tea and thinking about some sarcastic comment I could make. And then you put me right back on the show. And it's like, okay.
With sarcasm? I can't believe it.
I know it's hard to believe sometimes, but
it is.
It's my superpower.
It is your superpower because when
we got
together,
like it or you don't like it.
Well, that's true. Well, when we got together in New York a couple 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, you were sarcastic right out of the gates because the first thing you said was something like, "Hey, it's good to see you." I said, "Shit, that ain't right."
I said you had just one job.
Exactly. Oh man.
That's because I'm over at the event trying to pick you up, and you're already at the restaurant.
That's right. That's right. You did tell me you were going to pick me up at the event hall, and you're going, "Where are you, Randy?" I'm here. I'm going. Whoops! I might have slipped downtown with some buddies and might have hit a pub or two, but I forgot. I forgot you. Okay, let's just be honest.
Yeah.
It happened before. It happens.
Yeah. It happens, but I'll just make it the subject of the next book.
That'd be you. Well, that'd be scary. That would be scary. Speaking of books, look at these two things.
I know they were they were this year, and wait, there's more came out in January, right? And then I took a bunch of entrepreneurs to Disney World, which then created the Embracing the Magic book.
Mm-hmm.
And then my wife wrote a book this year. So, 3 books already out the gate. And it was like, people are like, whoa, wow, how do you do it?
There it is.
I've been producing books for 13 years.
Yeah.
And my wife's book, incidentally, is number 70.
I know to say you number 70. You told me that when we had dinner a couple of weeks ago. Number 70. That's pretty amazing.
And, her book is all about improving marriages. It's 25 Days of a Better Marriage, and it's based on our 37 years of being married together.
Yeah.
Although I think that she's a saint, and I probably caused more problems than what it was.
We can't argue that one, Rob. I mean, that goes without saying, I think. But
she comes right out in the book and says, "I'm not a counselor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm just someone with practical experience that has longevity." And I think in this world that we live in fact, when I look back, when we were first married, I think my wife got some type of marriage improvement book by, I don't know, some guru. which then got divorced like 6 months later. And I'm like, why are we taking advice from these people? So when she goes out there and tells people, she says, look, this is genuine, advice that actually works from somebody who has put in the work.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
so and I think that's great because, in anything, experience from somebody with boots on the ground, so to speak, whatever that ground is way more valuable than, some stuff you learned in some university somewhere 37 years ago, right? And you try to expound this like something. And like you said, a lot of people people that write marriage books are divorced 3 times. People that, one of my favorites is, the health doctor that tells you, well, you should probably lose 20 pounds. Well, you could probably lose 100. It's like there's no credibility with that, right?
Right. And even with your book, you're basing it on years of experience.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people who write books and then you meet them in person and none of what they wrote is actually true for them.
Right.
And it's like, why are we taking advice? And, so a lot of the stuff that I put in my own books or produce for others, it's all tangible, provable advice that person or myself has done.
Right.
And I don't want to produce a book that's false. I don't want to have help an author that's telling lies.
Right.
Everything that I put out, everything I produce has to mean something.
Yeah. I think that's great. And I know you're one of the, I didn't know anybody existed until I become friends with you and met you that loves Disney as much as you do, because we are like the opposite poles on that. If I go to Orlando because I live most of my life 4 hours from there, but I go up there for trade shows, and I've got some friends that live up in that area, whatever. But I will go via Atlanta to get to the north side of Orlando because I don't want to see the Disney property at all. But but I do understand the excitement that you have for it. But I was wanting to hold this one up for a minute. But the embracing the magic, I love what you do with that, because not only did you write some great books about that, and we can learn a lot of marketing from what Disney's done, right? But you take people on tours or visits, or tell us what you do with that, because I think it's pretty amazing.
It's more of an immersive experience, because like you said, a lot of people, maybe they go to Disney just for the rides. There's more to Disney than rides. As a marketer, I go there because Disney World has become a master class in learning. So I take these entrepreneurs, we go through the different resorts, we go through the different dining experiences, we go through the parks, we go through the media, the outside spectrum of, you ever see those influencers on YouTube? They're talking about Disney. Well, we take them into a studio and we show them firsthand how other people are viewing Disney. The reason I do that is because as a marketer, I want that experience to filter through them so that they understand that it's just not Disney's viewpoint, or Walt Disney World's viewpoint, but it's that marketing that you encounter everywhere you go, and every resort that they have has a different personality, has a different marketing spectrum. Every park is a little different. Animal Kingdom is different than Magic Kingdom. So when you look at it as a whole, as this marketing classroom, you start to learn things. And the students or the attendees who came on this immersive experience, 2 of them were from Australia. One of them actually used to work for Disney and never experienced the things that I took them through. In fact, there's a segment in Animal Kingdom, and you think, wow, it's just animals, it's rides. Well, you can take a backstage VIP tour, and they take you through, they strap you up, and you got to be strung, and I guess it's stabilized, maybe a term.
That works.
And then you cross these these rickety bridges and these other things. And it's things that most attendees to parks will never see, will never do. And it's just that added experience now they're getting. Oh, I didn't know Disney did this. And so, when you can elevate their park going to a different height. And let me tell you, we were probably 30, 40 feet up, and below us was alligators. It can be scary.
Yeah.
But when you can overcome that, now you have a deeper appreciation of the experience that you just had.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's that I may
And there's a lot of people like you that I wouldn't say dislike Disney. They just would rather do something else.
Yeah. And I joke a little bit. I don't dislike it. It's just it's like page 300 of a 200-page book of what I really want to do.
Right.
But
because most people think, oh, it's just rides, and a lot, when you get a little older, maybe your body just doesn't want to do rides anymore, and I get it. So we find things that are more attractive to the older marketer, because when we took them through tours of different resorts, and we got to speak to some of the cast members that were there, these cast members don't always get questions. They don't always get included in photographs.
Right.
And when you can include them, their eyes light up, they share better stories, and they make, your encounter there at Disney so much more, memorable. And so I wanted to include all that in while I have Marketing the Magic and then Embracing the Magic. Because, I know people that go to Disney year after year after year, and they never see a lot of the things that are available. Right. Disney World has so much to offer, and people are like, well, I didn't know they had miniature golf. I didn't know they had a shopping district. I didn't know they did this, and this. All they know is what the commercial shows them. Oh, get on a ride. I like certain rides, Pirates of the Caribbean, because it's nostalgic. I like Haunted Mansion just because I get to sit down. It's air conditioning. I don't have to think. But some of the new rides, I love Tron. I love the movies. But getting on that ride, and I'll do it once, but it left a big bruise on my chest. And I'm nope, never doing that again.
I enjoyed years ago the what's the one? It's a Wonderful World, but they kept throwing me off. They said that's not for you. I was a little irritated. I felt that was ageism, and I didn't enjoy it. They said you're 42 years old at the time. You can't be on this.
It's a Small World ride just caught fire this morning or yesterday, or they was.
It did.
Yeah, and I'm like, how does it catch fire? It's on water.
True. Well, so you find, obviously, because you take marketers there, and you're a marketer first class. A lot of lessons from Disney in marketing, right?
There's a lot of lessons. And one of the biggest lessons, and I tell people, is early on when Walt was building the parks, he saw that people were just throwing trash anywhere. So he wanted to make sure that there was a trash can at least every 6 feet.
Wow.
And because he wanted the park to stay beautiful. And if you have more receptacles to take the trash, people are going to take the time to throw stuff away. And now you fast forward to, 2026, and Disney now has incorporated solar panel trash cans that talk to you, integrated. They're trying to make it so that, not only keeping the park is priority, or keeping the park beautiful is priority, but they want to make sure that people, talk about those trash cans.
Yeah. Yep. So the thing I think about, and I think about Disney, odd subject for me that doesn't necessarily like Disney, but as I've read your books on Disney and listened to you talk about it, it's really interesting to me, the amount of marketing that happens that you don't realize it's happening to you. And I think that's a lesson, in another book you wrote, which I love, There's more, right? Which we'll talk about in a minute, but I just think it's interesting. My take is they're, yes, they're a theme park, I guess, air quotes, they're a whatever, but they're not selling rides and candy and stuff. They're selling an experience, right? And that's the big difference, right?
Mhm. And this is why families continue to go back year after year after year. They've got those ingrained memories. They want to relive them over and over and over again. And it's so, for me and my wife, when we go and we take the kids or grandkids now, we always try to incorporate something new, something that we haven't done before. Hey, we haven't gone to this restaurant. Let's try that one. Or we haven't gone, did you know that they offer fishing inside Disney World? You can rent a boat. You can go out and we've never done that before. Let's try that. They have different experiences all around, but most people don't know about it because they go to the resort, leave the resort, go to the park, come back, repeat. And so they don't know what the whole resort's all about. And to me, it's like, okay, I've traveled all over the world. I've gone to France and Germany and Italy, and there's a lot of places I like to go back. The funny thing is, I love going to Walt Disney World because to me, it reminds me of magic. It reminds me of home. It reminds me of all these great memories. Whereas, Venice was beautiful and Aix France was awesome. But, it didn't remind me of excitement.
Right.
So I think that's what Disney does best. And it gets people to keep coming back. And, there's a lot of people who've gone there once or twice and they, oh man, it's so expensive. But then they're buying, free Starbucks a day. And I'm like,
right.
If you just save up your Starbucks money, you could afford a Disney vacation.
That's true enough. Well, the thing that listen to you talk is, and again, reading your books in the past, this is key in all our businesses, whatever we do, is the age-old theory, right? Of people don't remember what you did or what you have, but they remember how you made them feel, right?
That's right.
And that's the key. I mean, you can go ride rides. I mean, I grew up. Well, okay, I haven't grown up yet, but my younger years were spent in Michigan, and so we'd go down to Cedar Point in Ohio, right? Big amusement park. Great rides if you like rides, but we always went there for the experience of the little restaurants and bars and the little shows and the songs and that's one of the things that we used to like. So it wasn't just because there's rides, because you could go get rides at Michigan Adventure. You could go over to Six Flags. There's a lot of places to go get rides, right? Yeah, but it was the experience and how you felt that was the big deal. So I love it. So when did you decide, or how did you decide one day as a marketer that I'm going to take this Disney, or my love for Disney, and I'm going to turn this into something that I can write about, talk about, speak about, and teach and train people how to use the Disney experience from a marketing end? What was there a light bulb that went off one day, or is it just kind of happen over time?
Well, every time I go to Disney, while I'm in line to a ride, my phone will ring, and it's always been a new customer or a customer that needs help in some way. And I'm like, this is crazy. I mean, years. It happened multiple times. I'd be standing on, and I'd answer the phone, and I'm thinking, and then I'd say, I'm on vacation at Disney. Oh, and then they go crazy. Oh, I don't want to interrupt. No, what do you need? I'm in line. I got a few minutes, and I'd fix their problem. And I thought about that, and I'm like, this is one aspect of helping a client. But every time I get in line with somebody, I strike up a story. Hey, where are you from? Oh, how many times have you been to Disney? And I think it's that camaraderie. It's that, okay, maybe you're stuck in line, you want to do something. But that's when the light bulb went off. Okay. How can I help more people experience this? And here's the thing, in the year 2000, I was coming off of, this is right before I started Anspach Media. I had just gotten rid of a partner that was in another business. And I thought, I need to do something. I want to do something that gets my mind off this. So I took the whole family to Disney World. And to me, going to Disney World for that first time, taking the family, that was the meaning of success to me. You know, I was able to spend money. I was able to give them a good time. I felt like I was giving them something back, but at the same time, I was ingraining new memories in me, so I didn't have to worry about this darn partner that screwed me over. And then we would go every 5 years until 2015, and then from that point, I think we did 1 or 2 years at Disneyland over in California, but then we would go every year and sometimes twice a year. And the more I went, the more successful my business became. And it's not that, you know, Anspach Media would have excelled without Disney. I think it was the lessons that I learned, the experiences that I gained, the marketing that I saw, the customer service that only Disney does, helped Anspach Media grow even better. And so, yes, I might spend a lot of money going to Disney, and people say, "Well, Rob, that's just crazy. You're old. Why do you want to experience kid stuff?" Because it makes my company more magical every time I go.
Love that.
And a lot of the things that I used to share in my books were Disney. And I'm like, okay, you know, I probably will never get hired by Disney because I'm too sarcastic, and it's just, but I can take their philosophies, I can take their marketing, I can take their lessons and incorporate it into books or speeches or, you know, podcast interviews, and or, you know, get people to say, "Hey, I want to be part of that, Rob. Take me on one of your immersive adventures." And so we go. And it's to me, that's success.
I love it. That's a great explanation. You know, and I probably should have, usually at the start of the show, I do this better, but unfortunately, or fortunately, but unfortunately, because we're friends and known each other quite a while now and hang out whenever we get a chance, I just jump right into stuff. But you know, what does Anspach Media do? What do you guys do?
What do we
Let's
do?
tell the people, because I kind
a
of
little
know.
bit of everything. What started out as a marketing service for carpet cleaners back in 2001, because I was a former carpet cleaning owner, and I owned a carpet cleaning business in Lancaster, Pennsylvania for 19 years, and from 1995 to 2014. And so my Anspach Media and the carpet cleaning overlapped. Now, I started teaching marketing to carpet cleaners, helping them with their newsletters and their postcards and their copy and even some of their website, text or context. And that was going well. You know, I was running both companies, and I thought, okay, great. However, other industries started reaching out to me, lawyers and doctors, and they had more money. And I'm not saying money was the motivator, but money helped transition me out of the cleaning business into full-time consulting, because now I had these lawyers and doctors who wanted AdWords and websites and SEO and all this other stuff. And I thought, wow, okay, let's sell the cleaning business. And I sold it right after my first book took off, which was called Share. And it was all about social media. And, people are like, wow, this is great. And then I came out with another book called Optimize This, where I teamed up with another former carpet cleaner, and we wrote a book on search engine optimization. In fact, it was this book right here, Optimize This. And in fact, the podcast I was on earlier, we talked about this book, because there's things in that book, believe it or not, 12 years later, are still relevant to how websites rank on Google. And a lot of it is, if you rank the way we teach you, AI is going to pick it up even faster. And we didn't know about AI back then.
Right.
So, but yeah, Anspach Media now is a marketing company that deals with helping clients, and I don't say startups because a lot of times startups don't always have a lot of money. Now, we have taken on startups if I see that there is a future, and if they're willing to do what I tell them to do.
Right.
A lot of times we've gone in and said, "Oh yeah, this is what I would recommend." Oh, I don't want to do any of that. You're not a good fit. you gotta have a willingness to want to succeed. And so Anspach Media has grown into this multi media company. So we're doing, website design and optimization and copywriting and marketing. A lot of the marketing that really needs to happen to make sure that that foundation that you want to have as a company, make sure that your business is going to succeed the way it should. And that's the problem, I think, today, is there's too many services out there where the entrepreneur is tempted. Oh, it's a shiny object, I'm going to get that. So then they say, oh, I need these funnels and I need this and I need that. Now you're working with 16 companies and none of your stuff works, because each of those companies has their own idea of how you should, your marketing should be. So they're all fighting against each other. It's best to have one company that you start. And look, this is your foundation. This is how it's going to grow. And then you can expand out. But you've got to have that foundation built first. So, we come in and we discover what their story is. We help them if they want to write a book. We write that book. We help them with their articles to get their foundation growing, to get AI to pick them up. We help them with their copy on their website and their press releases, all these things that give you the authority, give you the credibility. And, I started Anspach Media because I was frustrated at a lot of the other services that were out there. And this is going back to phone books and newspaper ads and clipper type magazines, and where you couldn't have a say in how your ad was designed. This is what it was going to be and hope for the best. I'm like, I just gave you $1,000 and the ad looks like crap. No, I'm going to redo all this. And putting all that in my own hands, I was going to be the only one that blames if my company went out of business. So that's a roundabout way.
Well, no, that pretty well explains it. So we talked about your embracing the magic here. I loved Wait, There's More. That may be one of my favorite books you've written, and I really enjoyed it because
that was I sat down one day and because I was going through doom scrolling. You get on your phone and you just. And I kept seeing these same ads, these same messages, and I'm like, this is bullshit. These marketers should be ethical in what they do, and they should be ethical in how they sell products. And so I started coming up with, this concept of this book. And the reason it was Wait, There's More, because back, in the day, that was that catchphrase that everybody would say, but wait, there's more.
Right.
It's like, okay, I love marketing. I grew up on this. I know, all the different ways to sell to people. But when it comes down to condensing all that, it's trust. Why should people trust you? And if you're selling them products they don't need or want, but they feel compelled because they just watched your ad, guess what? You might sell something, but that person is going to have buyer's remorse. They're going to send it back. They're going to want their money back. And then you're going to get a bad reputation. Why don't you do things the right way? So, yes, the book is kind of a provocative title because it says the dirty secrets that marketers use to get you to buy stuff you don't need. And it wasn't an attack on marketers per se. Good marketers, I love them to death. bad marketers, unethical marketers. So I go through it and I pull apart all the things that consumers should be made aware of before they make that buying decision. And I had a lot of marketers, Rob, you're betraying us with this book. Go write your own then.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. It's like, I'm trying to, and maybe it's just me, but prior to Wait, There's More, I wrote a series of books with Brad Zellis called the Can Go to Hell series. Mm-hmm. Debt collectors can go to hell. Slumlords can go to hell. HOA boards can go to hell, and the IRS can go to hell. And you think, Wait, There's More is a provocative title. Hell is Facebook, every time we tried to run the ads or do something for those books, oh, you can't say hell. You should have renamed the title Can Go to Heck. I'm like, well, where the hell is heck? So, but I wanted to start a lot of these new books with a consumer advocacy angle. How do we protect consumers going forward? And it comes back to what Disney does is that immersive experience. And I know that you're starting to do that in what you do and what you teach, because it's not just selling a product. It's not just selling a service. You're selling an experience. You're selling a memory. You're selling them peace of mind.
Right.
And it has nothing to do with dirty marketing. It has to do with ethical marketing and how to help the consumer. And when your consumer is happy, healthy, they're going to want to keep coming back.
Right. And they send their friends too, right? They send their relatives. They don't, not only, if you treat them wrong, you're lucky if they just stop buying from you. I mean, that's your best case scenario, right? What usually happens is they tell everybody they know what a chump you are and never buy from you again. And the old, and there's all these different numbers, but you make this person happy, they may say nothing, but if you make them unhappy, they tell 100 or 1,000. What a pick a number, right? Yeah. But but that's very true, right? And it's just, and I think the other area that I feel, anyways, with that is people are habitual, and as a marketer, if you always do the right thing, then you always do the right thing. But once you start stepping off the reservation, the first wrong thing you do, you might come back maybe, but pretty soon it's easier to do the second one, right? And then pretty soon you've done the fifth, and then all of a sudden that becomes your normal MO. And then it's almost impossible to dig yourself back out of that hole of, because you know what? It could be successful if you look at success as just selling stuff. Yeah. Does that make sense?
It does. And and I want to go back to experience, because remember the first time you went out to dinner with me and Kim?
I do.
We took you to Booby's Brewery in Mount Joy. And
we
there's
did.
a restaurant called the Catacombs. And you have to walk down like 30 feet below ground. And you get to experience this dining, thing. And you're underground in an old, where they used to make their beer. And to me, those types of restaurants, those types of experiences, you remember.
Right. Exactly.
Anybody can go to McDonald's. Anybody can go to, and I love Chick-fil-A, but anybody can go to Chick-fil-A. There's no memories.
Right.
You go to something where it's underground and you're getting this first-class meal. You remember. And those are the types of restaurants at Disney that make things special. I when I took this group of entrepreneurs, there was a restaurant in the Contemporary Resort called Steakhouse 71, and the meal was I can say it was okay. I mean, it wasn't right home to your mom and say, oh, you got to be here. But here's the experience that did happen. When the waitress discovered that two of the guests had never gone to Disney, had never experienced Steakhouse 71 before, she brought out these specialized desserts. I mean, these are Instagram-worthy desserts. And their eyes lit up. And they took pictures. And they blasted it on social. And they were like, this was the icing on the cake. And they just loved it. So that is a way to turn maybe a mediocre experience into a phenomenal memory,
Right.
And so, but we as entrepreneurs, we don't do that. We're like, okay, here's the invoice. Give me the money. Maybe I'll see you in five years.
Right. Right. Well,
Why aren't you doing something special?
Well, and what you just mentioned, Rob, I love because too many entrepreneurs would have looked at that scenario with the dessert and says, we're not going to give or discount or whatever to desserts because they just look at the dollars and it costs us $32.
Mm-hmm.
Best $32 they ever spent by giving that because of all that social media exposure and all the likes and shares and reposts and stuff. I mean, that's worth thousands of dollars. And just because you did something right to make somebody's experience memorable, right?
Hey friends, it's Randy here, the owner of Source One Marketing, ibuyfromrandy.com. And I got to tell you, we are proud to sponsor the Building Wins Live podcast and vlogcast. We have 4+ decades in this beautiful industry of supplying materials, supplying services, supplying marketing assistance, and we just are proud to sponsor Building Wins Live and some great guests that we have every single week, many of them from our beloved industry and many of them from outside the industry that still bring some incredible content. So make sure to check us out at ibuyfromrandy.com and let us know what you think about this show. For now, thanks for checking this out. Let's get back to the show.
Yeah, I think we as entrepreneurs, we get short-sighted. We only look at the sale.
Mm-hmm.
We don't look at the after effect. We don't look at the what memory did we create? What experience should have happened. We don't follow up. We don't send thank you cards. We don't send newsletters. Oh, email's cheaper. Let's just do that. You know what? I started working with a client up in Boston. They are a service that specializes in helping seniors. And I said, great. I said, and they're like, well, we want to, send thank you cards via email because it's cheaper. I said, yeah, but a lot of seniors don't even check their email. Okay. They don't check technology the way you do. Send them an actual printed newsletter. Send them an actual postcard. And what happened? Their sales increased. People are sitting there reading their newsletter. It's a 4-page, beautiful news. I produce it every month now. And they're reading it and they're like, wow. And we put some games in their puzzles so that's interactive. So they got to actually work on it. Mm-hmm. And now they're telling their friends. And now they're getting more referrals than they know what to do with. Sometimes you got to look at the service that you're using or providing. How do I change this so that this particular segment of society will benefit better? I get it. That's expensive. Newsletters are expensive. It's a printing expense. It's a mailing expense. It's you taking that time to get it to the post office. But what's the return on investment going to be compared to the boring email?
Well, and also, Rob, I think about this with that. Sometimes stepping away from what everybody else is doing will actually separate you more than anything else. They want to just join in. Okay, if everybody's sending me emails about stuff, I don't know about you, but I get a whole lot of emails that's flip, 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 flip. I don't even look at them because I don't care. But then they're not practicing good, using good hooks or anything else either. But that's a whole nother subject, right? But if I get a card or I get a letter or I get a note, I got a card just a mutual friend of Wes and I's, and I don't know if you know Sean McElvaney from in New York State. He's in the printing world, but he sent me a card today. And it was a card because we had dinner together a few weeks ago, and I gave him a signed copy of my book, and he read it, and he just sent me a card, handwritten. He needs to work on his writing because there's a couple words I had to decipher. But anyways, I put in amazing is what I wrote. I don't know if that's really what it said, but he took the time, right? To like right. I mean, look, it was like, look, you can tell it's like a lot of sentences, right? To tell me how much he appreciated it, how much he wished he'd had this back in his day, yada, yada, yada. And that's just a minor thing between two friends. But what if I was a customer and he sent that to me because I just gave him a big print job? It makes you feel, now he could have just sent me a text. Hey, thanks, man, I loved your book. Thanks for appreciate it. We'll see you next time you're in the area. Mm-hmm. Nice.
Right.
but memorable, I would have simply said, nice. Now I'm still sitting here with it on my desk showing it to you, right? Big difference, right?
Yeah. Well, I have right behind my on my bookshelf there is a Disney postcard. Came from Dan Kennedy. Dan Kennedy is a big fan of Disney. He's also a huge marketer in the space, and so I sent him my Marketing the Magic book last year. He loved it. Wrote some awesome stuff, and I met Dan Kennedy back in 1998. And he was older than dirt back then, but people buy all of Dan's books. They buy all his courses and his marketing, and for him to take the time to send me a note, praising this book, it was like, wow, this is great. I can't tell you how I might only get 1 or 2 thank you cards a year, but I put them up in front of me so I can visibly see them every single day. We're in a society now that nobody wants to mail. Oh, it's going to cost $2 to mail it. Mail it. Damn it. Just get it out, because you'll get more response off that postcard, more enjoyment, because we are getting less mail nowadays. So the mail that we do get, we want to open. Mm-hmm. And when you're sitting there opening it and you pull it out, not only is it addressed to you, it's handwritten, and somebody took the actual time to send you a message, stamp it, mail it. I mean,
exactly. Because we all, and part of that, what you just hit on too, Rob, is we understood they took the time to do that, because let's face it, we all use text. I can send you a voice to text on my way to the restaurant later. Say, hey, Rob, thanks for being on today. Appreciate you, buddy. Mm-hmm. Big deal, right? Because it doesn't, everybody knows we can do that in about 13 seconds.
Right.
We can do 12 of them in the next 8 minutes, right? It's not that big a deal. Not saying we don't use that, right? Because there's times. But sometimes those special events, special occasions, special thank yous, I think you're right. I send out stuff like that. I'll send out things in the mail. And I've had several people, which I think is really cool, a little flip side, but because I make it well known, just one of the little things that I just do is I'm kind of the cool sock guy, right? I like socks. And I've had a number of customers and just people that just, I don't know, who strangely like me for some reason, which I haven't figured out. Not sure what's wrong with them, but anyway, that have just sent me socks. Mm-hmm. And then, and to me, that's the ultimate wow, because they took the time and effort to go buy them, mm-hmm. to go mail them. And the fact that they also remembered that's a big thing to me, right? That means they're really paying attention and care about what Randy thinks, right? And and so if we do that more, and these are just people I don't do business with, most of them. If we do more of that as an entrepreneur, like you said, the ROI on that is, we just look at, well, that costs $12 to do versus $0. Mm-hmm. But what's the return usually on that? $0 is what you get. You give nothing, you get nothing usually.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people who have been on my podcast, I'll send them a book or two, mm-hmm. And this is a thank you. But, they'll get that book, they'll take a picture of it, they'll post it on social media, and now everybody else is buying that book. I'm not doing it to sell more books, honestly.
Right.
I'm doing it because it's a nice thing to do.
Exactly.
And they're not expecting it. Whether that is, and if they don't like the book, they give it away. But
right.
And I had somebody, and this is my first book, going back 2013. The book, Share. He takes a picture. The book is underneath his couch leg to help level it out. And I'm thinking, you bastard. But the thing is, the more I looked at that picture, the more I used it in marketing. At least he's using my book for something. Right. He could have just tossed it. He could have just, and people found it funny. Mm-hmm. Why is a marketer telling people to use their book this way?
Exactly. Hey, it's all, if it's all attention grabbing, brings attention to you, your product, and you are your product in your case. What you sell is Rob, right? That's what people buy.
And the thing is what I've learned over the years is I've taken all the hate messages, I've taken all the pictures are the comments and the posts about, oh, this is Rob, why Rob does this. Rob only does this to get attention. Well, I love attention, yes, but I don't just take their message, but I fuel their hate, and I create more content.
There you go. Yep.
And to me, that's justice. But and that's a way for me to continuously come up with content. You and I are always producing content, and maybe it's our age, maybe it's because we've had this life experience that we can see things and say, oh, that would make great content. That's perfect lesson. That these new influencers, if you would call them, 6 months into being an influencer, they're posting on social. Well, give me ideas, because I ran out of ideas. I don't know what to post anymore. Really? Come on.
Yeah.
Life is that biggest fuel that gives me lessons that I can share on social media.
Exactly. Well, I find that fits into the red car syndrome, right? Now, syndrome's the right word, but if you never had a red car, you don't see red cars that much. But the first time, and I use it, I remember the first time my wife got a Buick LaCrosse years ago. I never had a Buick in my life. I never saw them. Never saw any Buicks. We get this. Did you? Okay, but see, we bought this Buick. She did. And it was like, Randy is an influencer, because now all of a sudden everybody's got Buicks. And I was sure it was because we bought a Buick, right? No, it was because I started recognizing them now because we had a Buick, right? And I think that's the same thing. And I'm talking to a guy that does it better than anybody, but with content creation, like you said, it's life. It's out there. If you're in a content creator mindset, I guess is what I'll say, you see stuff all the time. Mm-hmm. I remember one, and I'll tell this to anybody that'll listen. I was on a walk up north, and we was up there in the summer, down some of these lake roads and stuff, and I saw in the weeds a sign that was for saying that there's a boat launch, for just a small lake, just a boat on a trailer backing in the water. Mm-hmm. We all knew what it meant, right? All of a sudden, there's a little tree branch hanging over, not picturesque, right? I snapped a picture of it. I didn't know when I was going to use it, but my mind says something about launch your own boat. Something is popped in my noggin, right? So one day I was just flipping through and go, hey, I'm going to use that picture now. Launch your own boat, come up with a little hook and blah, blah, blah stuff we do. And so it's not that hard, right? Snap pictures of stuff. It pops up all the time. It's not that hard. You're right. If we live in any kind of life at all, there's 1,000 things a day that we see or hear or think of or witness that we can, it's life. It just pop it up. It's not that hard.
Yeah. But the other day, I made a comment to somebody's post about bait and switch.
Mm-hmm. I saw that.
And this thread kept going on, and I'm thinking, this guy I think he's all in it for the argument. He just wants to prove his point. And after I went down and I proved him, like, dude, you're just arguing now. You're not even proving your point. You've already proved my point to you. Well, I stopped because I'm like, I got other stuff to do. But it dawned on me, there's enough content in there. I can make 4 or 5 videos. Right. And so I sketched them all out. I did one on arguing. I did one on bait and switch. I did one on, and I'm like, it's 4 or 5 videos right there.
Right.
And I start putting them all out, and they're getting, hundreds and thousands of views. And I'm like, this is great.
Yeah.
For some idiot who wanted to showcase how smart he was or thought he was. And I'm just using that as fuel.
Yeah, exactly. So Rob, one last thing I want to touch on, because we're approaching an hour here, because I figured we would. You and I could talk forever, and you do sometimes. But eHeroes, you got a great podcast, eHeroes. You've blessed me a couple of times with being on, and I probably come on again one of these days, maybe if I don't screw up too bad. Tell us about eHeroes and what to expect from that, because people, if they don't follow it, they need to. It's really, really good.
eHeroes started in 2018, as me just wanting to interview what I call eclectic entrepreneurs. People that maybe not be, because I don't like guru status people, because they always have something some other agenda.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted people that had a story, that have an origin, that wanted to share, their entrepreneurial journey with others. And so I launched this in 2018, and I was much fatter then. But I got to the first 33 episodes, and I thought nobody was listening. And so I stopped for 6 months. And people are like, well, Rob, did you stop the podcast? Is it coming back? I really enjoyed that. I'm thinking, really? You didn't tell me. So I started producing it again. And just a few weeks ago, we celebrated episode 400. This morning, I actually recorded episode 404. But here's the thing. Yes, the podcast is there to teach entrepreneurs of all ages how to do pretty much anything they would think about in their business. I've covered all kinds of aspects. I learn more on the podcast than a lot of the people who, Rob, this is great stuff. Yeah, but I'm interviewing the people. Even though they're friends, I've learned stuff too, which has helped me become a better entrepreneur.
Right.
And I don't make money. Let's rephrase that. I made $300 on the podcast only because our good friend Ben Gay, I interviewed him, and he said he sold a course to somebody because they listened to the podcast that I interviewed. And Ben's like, I need to reward Rob.
Nice.
Check. That's the only check or any money I've ever gotten from doing eHeroes. Now, people think, well, Rob, aren't you supposed to make money on podcasts? It depends on your definition. If podcasting is your only business, sure, you can monetize it, you can run ads, you can do all kinds of things. eHeroes, to me, was that passion project that I wanted to give back to other entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. Yes, sometimes I'll mention my books, but most of the time I'm showcasing somebody else.
Right.
What is their skill set? Why would somebody want to hire them versus me? Yes, because maybe you don't like sarcasm. Okay, great. Go hire the person that I just interviewed.
Right.
But other people have said, Rob, I hired that guy. They were brilliant. I hired that gal. It was awesome. They've also hired me. There is so much work in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Why should I hoard it? Why? Give it away.
There you go.
And that's the purpose of being a better entrepreneur, being an eHero. And so, I thought about stopping eHeroes many times, as I'm sure that there's other people out there who thought about canceling their podcast. And I just keep doing it because I know that there's people out there that do listen, that do ask, that have questions, that enjoy the show. And it's not overly produced. There's no intro bumper. There's no me hiding in the background waiting for a guest. There's no music. There's no outro. Plain and simple.
It's good
it's
stuff,
just
though.
Me interviewing somebody else.
Yeah, that's awesome stuff. I'd recommend it. eHeroes.
eHeroes podcast. And I encourage everybody. Look, it's on YouTube. Yeah. Go binge watch it. Then you can at least see who you're dealing with. Yes, it's on the audio platforms, and you can listen to your car and when you're hiking in the mountains. But here's the thing. I know that we as podcasters want to encourage people to listen to our podcast.
Yes.
When I'm out, whether it be at Disney, whether it be hiking a mountain, I want to embrace that moment. I don't want it to be spoiled by someone that I'm listening to someone's podcast.
Right.
Maybe that's just me. But yes, podcasts are designed to go anywhere. But should they? Really?
Yeah.
I will listen to them maybe in my car where I'm a captured audience when I'm trying to concentrate on driving, or in my office. I don't want to listen to you guys when I'm out trying to spend time with the family.
There you go.
So
Good point. Rob, thanks for being on, my man. I appreciate it as always. We're up against an hour here, and I got to go sell something, I think.
yeah, just a little something.
Yeah, a little something here and there. But hey, folks, buy all Rob's books. This is 2 of the latest that he gave me when I was in Kim's book. Is that up there someplace? Kim's book.
Kim's book is right here.
Get it up there. Get it up there, Rob.
All up there together. So
order all 3. Order all 3.
20,
I recommend
25 days to a better marriage.
And Kim's a great lady. I mean, you obviously outkicked your coverage, but there you are. But Kim's a great lady, and I'm looking forward to reading her book. I enjoy all your books, and watch E-Heroes and follow Rob, and just make yourself a better entrepreneur. Go to Disney.
Yeah.
Whatever else. Any closing words, my man?
Any closing words?
Yeah. Say something cool. Say something really.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to show you my mug.
Oh,
my level of sarcasm depends on your level of stupidity. So don't be
that's very fair. From Mr. Sarcasm himself. Rob, appreciate you, brother.
See ya.
All right, man. Cheers. See ya. Oh, man. There you go, folks. My good friend Rob Anspach from out in the eastern Pennsylvania area. And not only is he a great guy, but, man, check out some of his books. He writes some really good stuff. They're easy reads, and they're impactful, insightful, and I just highly recommend them. Watch E-Heroes and practice something I talk about a lot. You only go around once in life, at least here on good old planet Earth. Love what you do and do what you love, and live it, love it, own it. And while you're at it, just go make today your best day ever. Till tomorrow. Cheers, my friends.